There you go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another scene for Vampire the Masquerade Independence. We set our scene many, many miles away from our titular city, actually. We have one rather brave Tremere taking the day or so odd journey towards the stronghold of the Camarilla in this southern state, that being of Galveston. He's been, or I should say, she's been given certain instructions in order to take a long drive down this rather touristy looking street. She passes several shops that cater to sweets and toys and lots of uh, pandas, actually, for some strange and odd reason. She continues. She's been given a particular address, something that's a little bit tucked away. It's at the far end of this particular tourist street. It seems to be a very, very simple, rather, well, compared to all the other shops. This one is rather closed off. All the other ones had this glass that presented all the wares, all the candy, all the shoes, all the shirts, everything that screamed, buy me, look at me. This particular structure is a little bit more closed in, a little bit more bricked off. In fact, it has no external windows whatsoever. However, it does have a sign. It does have an entrance. It seems to be open rather a bit later than all the other shops having been closed for quite a number of hours. This one seems to still be open. What greets you in the front facade is a simple, very, very sturdy door with one vertical window that seems to have a bit of tough glass to it, and even the glass doesn't allow you to.
Austin, you there? Right. Sorry, folks, some technical difficulties.
Excuse me, terribly sorry I disconnected.
No problem. It's on you, bro.
Did I get through any of that?
You got to the part where you were talking about there was like an odd gentleman in the front, and then you clicked off.
Right. You are presented with the front door of the establishment, which I assume you go ahead and walk through.
Yes, I do.
All right. As you go ahead and open the door, walk through, you you notice that this shop is divided in a few different parts. Actually, in front of you there is a sliding gate. Imagine one of those revolving doors that continue to spin, but you just replace those glass panels with bars that seem to stick out horizontally. That allows entrance through one way, but doesn't allow spinning backwards or exit outwards. That's in front of you. Towards your right, you notice that there is a box there, or at least it looks like a boxed office, and behind that box office, there is a very simple window that has a lip to it underneath that is currently open. If you look through the window, you can see one rather disgruntled looking gentleman. He seems to be reading a newspaper, heavy bags under his eyes. He seems to be wearing a polo shirt with the store's name on it, Galveston Surplus.
Starr will approach the man and say, Godfrey, Hurricane of 1912.
The man will go ahead and look up at you. Okay. He'll go ahead and direct you through the sliding bars.
She'll nod and go towards the sliding bars.
All right. You go ahead and enter the establishment more proper. What you find out about this place is it's rather claustrophobic. Towards the left and the right, you can see various suits and various uniforms coming from all branches of the military. You see gas masks that sort of hang down. If you are much for punk persuasion, you could probably take one of these and have yourself a wonderful time at a rave. But in any case, you see several other paraphernalia, flags, and the like. But eventually you find yourself walking through this little maze of sorts until you meet a gentleman that seems to be backlit just a bit. He is standing within the confines, within the narrow corridors of fabric and fluff. And the light seems to come from behind him, shine into your eyes. And he stands before you in a silhouette.
Starr will approach it.
Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Um, or perception first. So,
Go ahead.
Yep. Two successes. Assuming that it's standard or You know.
Uh, Standard? Nah, that works for me. I'm not willing to look up that particular rule right now. With 3 successes, you're able to determine that this is indeed a pale aura. From looking at this particular aura, you can see that it is phlegm, phlegm green. It is one of bureaucratic annoyance and bureaucratic duty. He is here seemingly because he has to, because somebody else has deemed it so. He is not working within his own will at the moment.
My name is Starr Harker, apprentice of the Seventh Circle.
You are met by Godfrey, apprentice of the Sixth Circle. Apologies for the particular finalities, and apologies that we cannot do this over the phone, but my particular regent requires me to visually inspect every single person that requests resources from ourselves. I hope you do not mind.
Such is the duty of our clan.
hmm As you walk closer to him, you realize that he is wearing a well, fuck it. He's wearing a pinstripe suit in a very, very subtle manner. If you were to imagine, you would imagine the shoulders of this particular suit to be exaggerated, but on him they just simply seem to slunk low. He seems to be wearing a tie, and underneath that tie you can see what you would recognize as a hermetic symbol.
Mm.
It's a well-known symbol, not that of the Tremere, but simply a diamond, actually. A diamond that seems to transmute into a pentagram at one point. It's as if this symbol is trying to make sense of itself. You can see that this symbol it hangs on him. It doesn't rest on him. It hangs his head slightly lower with the weight of the chain.
Mm. Intelligence occult.
Do so.
Mm. Enough.
Yeah, that certainly is enough. You realize that this is a symbol of a geisha, of a geese, excuse me. It's one of duty. It's one of fate. Enforced fate, actually.
Star will eye his adornment and look him in the eye and just nod appropriately.
hmm He'll go ahead and wave you on through as he sort of points you in the direction of the back entrance, sort of shooing you on. He seems to get a cell phone from out of his pocket as well. He's looking at you, but he's dialing a number, and he simply says, "Right, where am I sending this stuff to?"
Star will give the address of the place where the stuff is supposed to be delivered.
All right. You hear the address repeated once, only once, and then the cell phone is silenced.
Hmm.
Well, Miss Hawker, you should expect your furniture and your other meticulous components delivered within a fortnight. Actually, with the miraculous travel that we have nowadays, I would expect that it would be delivered about noonday in 2 days. If you want, I can go ahead and delay that shipment until it's a more appropriate hour, until midnight of such a day.
That'll be appropriate.
Okay. Again, the phone appears in his hand. Again, there is a little bit of muffled conversation that you, with your supernatural sight and, well, not sight, sound, sense of hearing, we go ahead and pick up. Make that 25 after. We want a evening delivery. Thank you. And with that, he goes ahead and pushes you back towards the back entrance. When I say back entrance, you would assume it's the back entrance, but all he really does is lead you back into a big circle, back towards the front. This Godfrey fellow goes ahead and hits, or at least taps on the glass, gives a thumbs up. There is a light that turns from red to green, and the little contraption, the vertical sliding bars, go ahead and start to slide in the opposite direction, allowing you to exit the building that way.
Starr will exit the building, keeping a stride of confidence.
Mm-hmm. You go ahead and stride out fairly confidently. You notice that in the mirror, or at least one of those curved mirrors that is in front, in the inside of this atrium, there is a corner of the wall that is above you that holds a curved mirror. When you last look at it, just in curiosity's sake, you notice that this Godfrey fellow goes ahead and reaches up towards his that little chain, and again you see the unbearable weight on him as he tries to lift it off his chest just for a second, as if to take one last sigh of breath, maybe of a relief, maybe of resignation, but you leave the man to his own fate.
Understood. She's going to stop and look at the mirror. Is there anything peculiar about it?
Anything peculiar about the mirror? Actually, go ahead and roll me another perception occult roll.
Intelligence or perception?
Perception for the moment.
Yes.
Yes. You notice that there is a faint gold rim to this curved mirror, actually. And, you know, just that not only is there this gold frame to it, you recognize that there are little symbols. Not necessarily full sigils, but just symbols, wavy lines of the sort. And you smell a scent. It smells like possibly coal, possibly brimstone. Not necessarily something infernal, but something that is slight, distinct, but there. And using these various clues, you realize that this is probably a mirror of true sight, the purpose of which is to show an individual's true form, whether they be capable of changing shape or not.
Starr will just look and just nod a simple head shake of approval, noticing that her clan is indeed perceptive and acute. As she will make her way to her haven. From
All
here,
right.
there's something else happening.
No, there are no other encounters. For some odd reason, maybe one of your Gould retainers goes ahead and slaps a newspaper while you guys drive back to Independence. Seems as if there was a spill in the ship channel, actually. Lots of cargo was lost, and there was a power outage. Most of the local authorities are claiming that it was a eco-terrorist group trying to disrupt oil shipments. But there are certain telltale signs that that is not necessarily the case.
All right. Starr will approach her haven and cast Seal the Egress.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Spending a point of willpower here. Uh, that's intelligence, rituals, difficulty of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence or code, difficulty of 5. Clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I believe that's also a yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus the willpower. -1. It's 6 successes.
All right then. You
And
go Zig, how do you want to perform this? How do you want this to manifest? Because Seal the Egress goes ahead and takes the entire threshold, the entire door frame, and just melds it with the rest of the wall, or at least creates the illusion as such.
Starr will take out a piece of chalk and start inscribing the symbols and on the wall. This will take up a majority of the time. Prick her finger and start smearing more symbols as she begins chanting under her breath, walking in a counterclockwise motion around the domain, trailing her finger. She'll begin chanting the words, hermetic rhymes and tones until she makes her way to the front. It seems that she stops on a dime, and once she ends this particular ritual, there is a flash of rather a subtle glow of silver light as it seems that the ritual has been done correctly as it kind of closes itself and the door frame kind of melts together and separates.
Congratulations, your haven is now sealed by a password-protected mystical door.
Yep, and I just want to do that one more time for the place that I've designated for the chantry
Mm-hmm.
because she's paranoid. Another point of willpower. Didn't even. Ow.
I believe that is also a yes.
Yes. Fucking efficient ass star. Yes, it's done as this old school is now mystically protected, like, from intruders.
I will remind you with this particular ritual, it seals one chamber from all intrusions. If you do this on the entire building, might be noticeable. I would suggest taking one section of this building to mystically seal that one.
Then she will take one section of the building.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. You do so. The fantastic results are as such. You go ahead and perform the ritual without a hitch. You, my good Harker, are reasonably assured that this egress is sealed.
Star will,
Hooray!
Star will nod appropriately, leave the location, knowing that there's still more work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose we can end our scene there.
Unless you wanted to report back to your sire.
Oh, yeah, she can do that. She'll report back to her sire, see what happens. Alright, she needs to cast a ritual. So, intelligence occult difficulty of 4. It's a level 1 ritual. Yes.
Yes, you go ahead and sit before the little altar that you erect. It's that little candle, that little light. And again, your spirit, your heart, that little string of fate that weaves you two together goes ahead and springs out again, combines with that candle, shoots off through the ceiling, and again you feel the mystical telepathic presence of that sweet, sweet woman in your life, or unlife.
Good evening.
Good evening. What have we done since the time that you and I last talked?
I have my report to give.
Give it, young one.
Starr will begin shuffling through her bags, pulling out a notebook, and will begin reading as if reciting diction from a textbook, very formulaic. Um, the two Tremere that well, let me start over. There's a problem in the city. There seems to be a lich in the city. It seems that this malefic entity was indeed summoned by someone to do great harm to the city. The prince of the city and a Lord Cross has asked me to aid the city in its troubles. I've been doing so diligently. It's taken quite a toll on me, but like the evening star, I am succeeding. Um, the previous chantry was headed by a Miss Lovelace. It seems that Miss Lovelace was burned inside her own chantry on a crucifix. It was a very grisly sight. It would seem that the previous Tremere, one by the name of Virgin, um, decided that it was a good idea to defect from clan and house and try to sell out his brothers and sisters in clan and his sektmates to the Sabbat. He was quickly eliminated. It's the common belief that the new pressure of the city was too much for him. So that's what happened with that. Mr. Willie Bobby was also dealt with for misusing of magic, and I believe trying to sell. He went, I believe, after the incident to try to ask for assistance from the prince to try to secure himself a chantry. That itself did not go over too well. Um, there's also an object known as the Orb of Tardis, connecting the world to the world of the dead to this one. Um, and there is also a very specific, very interesting triangle that's happening with one Mr. Cross and a Miss Silverbird, Prince Silverbird. It seems that they decided to do some very interesting things in this city. It seems that they both have quite a strong pull within the city. They are greatly respected. I have recently spoken with the Primerton Council, well, some members of it, and I've gotten information on the remaining ones. Starr starts giving, starting with the Venture and working her way down to the Toreador, saying that the Toreador are no longer allowed positions on the Primerton Council. It seems that because of their lackluster performance, that they were denied representation. Currently, there's no representation for the Tremere since there are not allowed a lot of individuals here, and the last and previous individuals performed so poorly that a little bit more assistance will be needed on my behalf. Speaking with the very specific needs of the Tremere as a whole. Hmm. There's also something really peculiar. There was recently a missive that was sent out to the city. I believe, with my um, the lessons that I've learned from you before I went before my presentation to the prince of the city we were currently residing in, that proper etiquette and roll call. Apparently, somebody decided to call praxis. Well, the word praxis wasn't used. Um, if you allow me a minute, as she starts shuffling through her bags, she will begin reading this very peculiar letter. Um, that she's, you can feel the very coarse and very almost sarcastic tone in her voice. All known vampires in the city with known Camarilla affiliations, including those associated with the general running of the city, including Crimson Say, Vicente, and non-vampires such as Kaylee would receive the letter. It is with great regret that I write to you today, informing you that the former Prince Robin Silverbird was met with an untimely end. All evidence indicates that she was executed by the serial killer plaguing the city. However, not all is lost. For into this power vacuum I have stepped up to help the city. I have the support of both the Harpy, the new Seneschal, the new Toreador Primogen, the Keeper of Elysium, the Sheriff, the Ventrue Primogen, the Gangrel Primogen, and the Malkavian Primogen, the late Robin Silverbird's ghouls and staff, and the Sheriff of Las Vegas. So I have stepped up as per the late Robin Silverbird's wishes to lead the city through these harsh times. I know that together we can manage and make the city blossom into a utopia for all Camarilla vampires. Yours sincerely, Anna Robinson, Prince of Independence. Some very interesting things pop out in my head with this missive. Any ranking member of the Camarilla would not refer to themselves as vampires. That is not our way. We refer to ourselves as kindred. And this seems like an attack of some kind, or somebody's trying to undermine the political or power structure of the city. Also, is within our customs and etiquette rules that if someone is wishing to claim power over a city, praxis needs to be called, no, which has been done. Um, in which case, that leaves two problems. Unless somebody was killed without the notification of without the right of destruction, or something else more insidious is at work. Um, there seems to be a lot of discrepancies here, and it's very troubling.
Hmm. You notice that your sire has been very much silent through most of this report, actually. Go ahead and end your recitation of this particular letter and your summary of it, and she simply goes, right. Anything else about the state of the city? Because I am most interested now, not only in that particular crisis, but in the accommodations you've been able to set up for the house.
the accommodations I set up for the house. One, I was able to meet with a gun threat. The I want to thank you for the partial that you've sent, and as soon as I receive word, I'll let my harpy know, whoever the harpy is, about my loan owed to you. Um, I take nothing for granted, and thank you so much for your help. This information and items are on their way and are en route, and it seems that the chantry is well on its way.
Very well. Since you seem so stubborn about giving me my due, there is a particular parcel that is coming through on that transport. You will receive it in good time. It is of a portrait I had commissioned quite a long time ago, actually, held within the house holdings until such time as I deemed it appropriate to put it on display. What I would like you to do is I would like you to take that portrait. It's nothing that will break our secrets or break the masquerade upon seeing. Is a very, very simple landscape, actually, of a village that doesn't exist anymore. If you are so bent set about repaying me for all the work that I have done for you, my little one, I want you to go ahead and display that portrait prominently.
Any specific location?
Wherever most people will see it. You can hold it within your own haven. You can hold it within the chantry proper if you so desire.
Then I'll do that.
Thank you, my young one. Even if I do not remember all of the things that transpired in my many, many years of existence, I at least want these little cornerstones or milestones preserved, because without these milestones, I would not be where I am today. Always remember that. Your past is very important. Keep artifacts. Even if you are to give up your name for your own protection, keep little tiny artifacts of it.
Understood.
My dear Starr, it is so wonderful to hear your voice in my head again. I look forward to the day that we reconvene again, but my knights go ahead and take me away. The regent has requested my presence, and the experimentations since the last time we have spoke have not gone very well. Time schedules and all being in disarray. But I do hope that your work and your effort and independence bears fruit.
It is my journey and my destiny. I will see that my vision and my directions will tell a story, one that will hold the Tremere in a position of power and prestige, while I have my stay and independence, or else I'm called elsewhere.
Make yourself indispensable to those in power because they will remember us. They will. We will make it so.
Absolutely.
Anything else, my sweet?
Do you have any suggestions on how we should proceed? I take your counsel seriously.
Mm, the current political upheaval and crisis that is outlined in the letter that you just recited to me seems interesting. Best to keep an eye on it. Do not directly interfere. Do not indirectly interfere. But just keep eyes on it and observe it. Make yourself indispensable to those who ask you for help. This lich situation. I do not ascribe to the necromantic arts, although I knew a few kindred who did so. Lynches, as far as I can tell, can operate invisibly and have phenomenal power over the realms of the dead. However, your own gift of supernatural awareness will do you well. Keep your eyes open, enlighten them to the dangers that they are walking into.
I will do as such.
There is one particular ritual that will actually help you in this endeavor. You take a candle, you say the particular ohms and the stanzas, and you light it. And when you light it, you go ahead and cast a green flame. Wherever that flame is cast, there you will see and notice telltale signs of any necromancy or thaumaturgy. Usually, the younger neonates learn this ritual in order to find a new phenomenon for which to explore. In this case, if you learn this ritual, since the mystical, you will actually be able to enlighten those who cannot see, and better defend against this undead menace.
I'll begin my research at once.
Go in peace, Starr Harker. Go in peace.
May the goddess protect you. As Starr will just not.
The the little smoke that connects you, it holds silent for a very, very long time, and it's that awkward, not uncomfortable, but it is that silence, that discomfort that stays with you for a while. It is the silence that is between two people who don't really want to disconnect from each other. Two people connected by electronic wire between cell phones. Two people that briefly meet at the subway station that have to walk away from each other to catch different trains. That is the silence that currently plagues you until you yourself voluntarily cut that connection.
Starr will kind of feel the achiness of her loss and notice that if she holds on too tightly to this connection, this will most undoubtedly be her undoing. She shakes it firmly from her head and begins making preparations for some investigations that'll take place later this week.
All right, then. That we can definitely call a scene if you would like.
Yep.
All
Thank you
right.
guys for watching.